football hasn't changed the way we think it has. It hasn't gotten louder, it has gotten more careful. Because right now, two of the most important things in the game aren't dribbles or wonder goals. They are dead balls and risk management. Welcome to today's episode, where we will delve into how set pieces are quietly deciding seasons and goalkeepers are being blamed for systems they didn't design. And in the transfer market, big moves that used to be inevitably, dramatic, straightforward are suddenly collapsing. Everyone talks about tactics, but nobody talks about how fast, fear has crept into football as we now know it. Fear of conceding, fear of signing the wrong players, fear of medical reports, which agents are now scared of, fear of making a mistake that would cost more than just 3 points or 1 point, as it may be. Today, we are asking the inevitable questions. Why have set pieces become football's cheat code? And what does that mean for football at large and goalkeepers when you think about it? And why does it feel like the biggest transfers are dying before they even begin? From Saudi drama and confusion to empty windows and to clubs like AC Milan and their medical team building literal walls that have cost and stopped transfers. Let's get into it. This will just be a quick question to both of you. I have with me today Izzy and Bon. If we paused football from what it was like in 2015-16 season and nothing happened in the period in between, and then you just suddenly wake up in 2025-26 season, what is the one big thing that has changed? Izzy.
So I think one thing that has changed is I think the evolution of roles basically. So I think before we used to have, like, if I stopped watching football in 2015, I'll most likely be in a team who will have a 10 position, right? Now it seems like there's a dearth for modern football is trying to phase away, back then. So I think it's something it's a profile that we no longer have a lot of, and most coaches now do without. So I think that's one big change
Yeah.
that has happened
Well,
over the time.
yeah. Izzy has talked about role changes. Bon, we've discussed how football is now seemingly decided by fine margins. In that context, do you think that has driven football into the corner we now know it is?
Okay. So just as this is said, it is being like a shift in certain roles or positions that we used to take up within the pitch. That's why you even see that certain formations are not really being used like by the modern day coaches. What I would say is I won't say it has led to much of what we are seeing now because there's actually an historical precedence to the evolution of what we have now. But yes, we can see much more prominence in finding fine margins. It's so competitive right now within the sports. There's a lot of physicality around the sport as well. And the smaller teams are also looking for the edge to stay competitive against the bigger teams. So that has led to teams finding out areas where they can edge out opponents. So just like Izzy has said, yes, that's as factored in. There are various variations as well.
Well, that's clear. Well, to now then delve into the next question, Bon. Are we saying that coaching creativity from open play is something that coaches are finding more difficult? Is that what's contributing to this as well?
Well, I won't use to actually answer this question much more succinctly. I would look predominantly at the English Premier League as a yardstick to judge or to give further accordance to this question. Because in our last episode, we spoke about how in European football, you can see that there's a much more even balance in the style of play, right? But you find out that within the English Premier League setting, we are seeing a predominant rise, right, in set pieces, yeah, dead ball strategy has become a thing. Now, I won't say it's down to the fact that coaches are finding it hard to coach open play because predominantly a good number of the goals that clubs have scored, especially in the English Premier League, have come from open play. Even our favored Arsenal, some people are telling me set piece merchants, a predominant number of their goals come from open play, right? But what it has done is that based on the tactical profile, the tactical switch, the need for physicality that has arisen in the English Premier League, which is like Ateta, right? Are figuring out what to stay competitive and create an edge against the other big six. We need to look for ways that we can compete. Mind you, I was saying something when I did a research for this particular pod, and I made it and I dropped a comment in the group chat. What Arsenal is actually even doing is not new. We've just kind of forgotten it actually existed, but it's actually not new. If you look historically, what they're doing is just a rehash of what some predominant people like Sam Allardyce did with Bolton, right? What Brentford have been doing behind the scenes, what Chelsea did in 04-05, get what Stoke City did with Rory Delap. They just took 5 points and made it better. They also did an evolution around zonal marking and marking systems. So it's not something new. But what it has done is that it has created an edge where they can now find out that they can compete better against certain clubs. If they can't get those goals from open play, they now know that they have a weapon of dead balls and set pieces, basically.
Thank you for that, Bon. You mentioned one thing. You said how things have changed, especially in the Premier League with the zonal marking system, everything. And one thing Izzy talked about at the very beginning was player roles. To take a cue from that, and you rightly said, Arsenal have only scored around approximately a third of their goals from set pieces. The rest, 2/3 have been from, either open play or own goals. And own goals is quite insignificant. I think they have maybe 3 or 4 goals from own goals. And that brings me to the question I want to ask Izzy, because he talked about player roles, how player roles have changed. Goalkeepers are now being asked to do a lot more. Within the context of the system we are now seeing, what effect is that having in the context of set piece play? What effect is it having on keepers? Are we asking too much of them? And what are your thoughts about the current marking system when it comes to set piece plays in Premier League? So set piece chances used to be bonus chances. Now they have now turned penalties, and we are asking keepers to do a lot more. What are your thoughts about zonal marking system near post goals, zonal marking systems, and the fact that we are asking keepers to do a lot more in the Premier League?
So I would say start from the beginning. It's not. This is an evolution sort of, right? Just like Bon had said. Bon said it started from way back. So we even had it from Sam Allardyce Blackburn to Tony Spoli's Stoke City, right? So this is something that was forgotten, right? And has now become part of play because there has been what they call it, a tactical evolution now. So in a bit to combat this, people have come up with ideas to limit the attacking chances of the attacking possibility of this style of play. That's why you now have the man marking and the optimizing set pieces. So let me start from right now in the Premiership. Like it's all over, like of the top 5 leagues, right? There has been a steady increase in set piece goals, right? England apparently has more. It's in England right now. You'd have you have a set piece goal, right? You have 0.8 games per weekend, right? Having set piece goals. So that in a weekend, you would expect 8 goals from set pieces. So normally, the idea of set piece is an easier goal, right? It's supposed to be an easier goal because with the total football and all of it, it's difficult to rehearse this season training and come and practicalize that bit. You can spend the last 15, 20 minutes in training, like, how would I put it? I'm trying to perfect a set piece. It's not as taxing as trying to perfect possession play or positional play or like the intricacies of open play, right? That is one of the reasons why you have seen an increase in set piece goals. People have found out that if it's easy to score goals, if like I said, it's easy to rehearse, so we can as well just perfect these things and it has been showing in the fact that 15 out of the 20 Premier League clubs have set piece coaches.
So are you saying now, and this is from also a neutral fan's point of view, we are paying premium to watch the Premier League in one way or the other. Are you saying these clubs, this football that we are paying to watch is now made so simple? People are trying to take the easy way out to try and see if they can score goals in the easiest way.
I wouldn't say simple. So let's look at it from 2 points: on the financial standpoint and the tactical standpoint. Financial standpoint, you have Arsenal going for a Gyökeres, right? That has failed to deliver. How much did they pay? They paid around, let's say, 55 to 60 M. The normal, or you always hear people say, if you want to win the league or you want to do well in the league, you have to have a striker that can give you 20 goals, right? People have now found out that, they can now pay less, right? They don't need to have, for example, you need a striker. For you to get a striker that will give you 20 goals, you will pay north of 60 and upwards. You can pay a fraction of that to a set piece coach, right? That can give you goals from set pieces, right? Let's say you have 10 goals from set piece and help you consistent. In that bit, you have saved money rather than going all out to spend money on a striker that will give you 20 goals. Pay a fraction of that. You have a set piece coach. He helps you optimize your set pieces. That's what Arsenal is currently doing. You help you optimize your set pieces, because if the set piece goals were not there, right? Arsenal's point tally in the league so far would have reduced. Now let's do tactically. I saw a stat that says 70% of the goals scored by 70% of these set piece goals have either been equalizing goals or lead goals. And in the game state, the tactics is determined by what is going on, what's currently going on. Are they losing or are they winning, right? Or how is it at that point in time? Because if a team is losing, you have them defend, they take more risk, try to advance more. But if you are on the lead, you can sit back and a bit. And that's what Arsenal has perfectly done. You have 70% of the goals have come from set pieces. They score this, they take the lead, or for Arsenal, I think Arsenal has scored 15 set piece goals, right? Arsenal has scored 46 Premier League goals. That's 30% of the goals. Imagine those 30% now being leading goals or equalizing goals. If it's leading goals, we have all accused Arteta of not taking risk this season. It looks like they have come into a game management system. Them leading with set piece affords them that opportunity. Now they can afford to not take risk. Let's see how the game. They are not winning except maybe when they play leads. I don't think Arsenal have very high margins between goals this season. They have found a way to dub it, and I think set piece has helped with that. What the set piece is now doing is, you might say it's boring, or we pay millions to get profit. We are yet to see results, right? Despite the fact that fewer goals are being scored in the EPL than previous seasons, right? Because set piece goals, for example, from last season, right, from 20% to 28%. That's a massive increase. And there's something I even noticed, right? We are saying set piece, right? We group them under set piece. Set pieces covers free kicks, they cover throw-ins, and they cover free kicks. There is a decline in free kicks, but there's an increase in
in corner kicks.
throw-ins and corner kicks.
And that was
right?
where I was going to bring Bon in, because of what you just said now. Now, Bon,
Okay.
Arsenal, employed a set piece coach, a throwing coach, for that matter. Because, if you look at their statistics this season, most of the goals, even for set pieces that they've been scoring, I think you mentioned that they haven't scored any goals from throwing. Now,
Yeah, they haven't.
look at this. I want you to comment on two things. The evolution of set piece coaches, not set piece itself, but set piece coaches in the Premier League. That's one thing. And secondly, he mentioned something, which I had initiated about the game not being as attractive. In your opinion, is the game getting uglier given what we are watching this season?
Okay. Before I actually go into my deep dive, first of all, the game is actually not getting uglier. The game is evolving. The game is actually evolving. I won't call it ugly. But now I'll go down a historic background around the evolution. In fact, let's even look back at history. So I will start with, I'm going to mention some key proponents or key elements of figures that I think have been instrumental to making this actually a thing. During my first part of the introduction, I had mentioned Sam Allardyce. Sam Allardyce in English football is one of the greats, right? He started to be one of the first people to actually use statistical modeling in analyzing players' situations. And he did that at Bolton. He had mentioned something about people spending 10% to train for set pieces. That is one of the things that Sam Allardyce noticed when they looked at the numbers. We were getting over 30% of the league goals from set pieces. But in tactical instruction, we were spending over 10% on it. Sam Allardyce then said, you know what? We are going to up the time that we are going to spend in tactical instruction for set pieces, because he wanted to make sure that he was generating that 30-something% from his goals from set pieces. And if you notice, This is my own theory. It's my own theory. My theory is I feel Arsenal, Arteta, and Nikola Jova have fine-tuned that idea because they are generating consistently over 30% of their goals from set pieces. Now, this is to tell you that probably the league standard was make sure 30% of your goals will go from set pieces. If we were to mark Arsenal now, we will give them a 100% pass mark because that's what they are executing. The thing is, from the old era to the new era, football or the set piece engineering has gone from just being about physicality or just the way the game feels to precision engineering. We are now engineering precisely how we want these goals to be generated. Before, probably set pieces was based on vibes. I will also go down to Stoke City Tony Pulis. It's something about Rory Delap. People actually forget that there's a mechanics to how Rory Delap was able to perform in throw-ins. Reason is because before Rory Delap actually went into football competitively, he was a competitive javelin thrower. That is one part people probably do not remember. He actually competed by throwing javelin, which made his physiognomy or physicality around those throwings, right, to be pinpoint precision. And we will also get back to the zonal marking and everything because there's a part of what we have noted around set pieces. People are targeting the near post. People target the near post specifically to ensure
Actually,
maximum
yes,
damage.
the 6-yard box.
Yes, and that is the zone that the goalkeeper is meant to mark. Take note of this. The goalkeeper in a zonal marking system is charged to mark the 6-yard box. But guess what? In order to make it ineffective for the goalkeeper to mark, what do? They place players to crouch him to make him ineffective, which is one of the things that Arsenal currently does. They put players like Gabriel Mahelas and Saliba or Ben White on the goalkeeper. He is not able to come out. But Arsenal is not the first team that did this. Sam Allardyce did this with Kevin Nolan in Bolton. Kevin Nolan was the guy that was marking the near post and was a quote-unquote the goalkeeper barrier, not allow the goalkeeper come out. So that when the set pieces come in, they're able to execute with the goalkeeper living in the dust or being left in the dust. Now, there has been an evolution. You said evolution of set pieces, right? The set piece coaches became a thing for me, I would say, from Brentford, right? Now, Brentford had an owner. The owner's name was Matthew Benham. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's Matthew Benham. Matthew Benham made his fortune from gambling, just like Tony Bloom. He and Tony Bloom were actually associates before they fell out, right? Matthew Benham he had a company, and one of the things that they did was they generated statistical modeling around creating algorithms to sell to betting companies that brought in fortune. He took over Brentford in about 2012, even though he was a Brentford fan. One of the things he did was to hire a set piece coach. But he was one of the first people to hire 2 sporting directors when most coaches do not even have one, when most clubs do not even have one. One of the sporting directors he hired is Ken Gaz is, and I think if I'm not mistaken, is currently still their director, right? One of the things that Brentford were able to do is they increased or they profoundly made sure that they were generating those amount of goals from set pieces. And that actually also trickled down to Midtjylland in Denmark because Matthew Benham was one of what used to be the former owner, I think former majority shareholder of Midtjylland. And one of the reasons why they were able to win domestic trophies during his tenure as a major shareholder was set pieces. So this is like an evolution that has gone on over the years. What we are currently seeing now is stuff that people have done. And if people look back, that Chelsea's record of 15 goals conceded, people forget that one of the reasons why we're able to concede those amount of goals, because of course Chelsea is my beautiful club, is because Chelsea learned how to defend set pieces. If you go back and watch 05, 04, 05, there was a key guy that was always defending the near post against opposition, Didier Drogba. Didier Drogba was always positioned at that near post, where if anybody was going to come and encroach, he was heading the ball near because in-swingers have increased. If you look at the trajectory of corner kicks that are now taking, we are taking more in-swinging corner kicks or out-swinging corner kicks. But in-swinging corner kicks are increasing now because they are targeting the near post. Chelsea this season have done it, where they do a flick-on strategy. They target the near post, and somebody flicks up the ball, and someone else attacks, and it's a goal. So all this thing is precision engineering. We are precisely engineering this stuff. That's why there's an increase in the set-piece coaches. You have Nikola Jova. Nikola Jova came from Brentford to Arsenal. Right now, Arteta has gone and hired Thomas Groningen. Thomas Groningen is a current throwing coach. What does he want to do? He wants to create the edge where he's able to generate chances from throw-ins. He wants his throw-ins to not be deadly. But guess what? Little too late. A club already perfected that this season. Brentford perfected that this season. Brentford have generated approximately 40 chances from throw-ins in the last 2 seasons. 40 chances. This season, I think they've probably directly scored 4 to 5 goals from throw-ins. They've actually also generated the most shots towards the post from throw-ins. And Michael Kayode has been a big factor in that. Mind you, the current Brentford coach, Keith Andrews, was their set-piece coach. So it's something that has evolved. We're now seeing a unique specialization in this stuff going forward. And it's not making the game boring. It really is not making the game boring. Because the thing is this, if you look at systems, defensive structure, defensive systems, we have the man marking system where everybody has somebody that they are going to mark. You have the zonal system where you mark in zones. Every player's zone is meant to defend. The goalkeeper's zone is that 6-yard box. The problem with the zonal system is once you're able to beat a particular zone, or once you are turned off, you are switched off, they will capitalize on that zone. Now, what people like Arsenal, Man City, even Chelsea under Maresca have done is they've created an hybrid structure where they do zonal marking and man marking together. That is why Arsenal this season have had the best defensive record on defending set pieces. You rarely score them in set piece. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of the goals, which was actually weird, Chelsea scored in the first leg against Arsenal, Chaloba, from a corner kick. I was shocked because this season, you really don't see Arsenal concede dangerous chances from corner kicks or
No,
from
but
set pieces.
just to add to that, I don't think that is, because I think when I did my research, I found out that actually Raya has considered 2 goals from set pieces this season in the Premier League. The highest is Martinez, right, with 3. And the only team yet to concede from a corner this season, is Wolverhampton Wanderers. So I think Ojo had mentioned something around, is there a reason why we need to look at the goalkeeping and that it's like, is it going to evolve in the goalkeeper? And yes, because it has gotten to the point where we need to have more very physical keepers, right? Physical keepers, yes. Ones that are meaty, very big goalkeepers, because
I
at
don't
some
even think you
now,
even need physical goalkeepers. Martinez is physical now.
no,
Martinez is a
see,
physical goalkeeper. It's more of the structure.
It's a combination of 2 things, right? The physicality, right? And they deciding when they want to claim. For example, right?
Okay,
Raya and Martinez have considered
easy.
the most
Before you
goals
actually
from
go
set
to,
pieces, right?
what would you
But
judge as physicality for a goalkeeper? How
so
would
a
you want a
goalkeeper,
goalkeeper to be physical?
so a goalkeeper is supposed to be, like I said, right now. There's a reason why I remember I asked for how many corners City had considered in the world. City had considered how many? 6 in 2024-25. Considered 3 in 2025 in the season before, and I considered 4 3 seasons before. So in that spread, they had considered 13 corner kick goals in 3 seasons. This season, they have only considered 1.
I say that's because of Donnarumma.
Yes, Donna.
No,
So
I
I'll
don't
bring
agree.
Donna into the game. Donna is
I
big,
don't agree
right?
with that one.
He's one of the
Mm-hmm.
Pep is always ahead of the curve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pep noticed that, this is coming back inside, and decided, so this is what we want to do. We are going to have. He saw an opportunity to get a big keeper that can also play with the ball, good with saves. But what he also provides is able to defend. They have only considered 1 goal from set piece, and it could have been avoided if I saw the goal they considered from the only goal they have considered from the corner. Donna chose when not to. So it's one thing to be physical, it's another thing to choose when to. For Sanchez, once Sanchez decides, he's going for it, he's going for it. But a lot of keepers, the timing,
They hesitate.
they hesitate. That's the one that Donna has considered this season was down to hesitation.
Okay.
If
Now,
not, it's 0.
It's interesting to see what you guys are talking about, but I want to bring you in on something. In the past, football used to be so, I don't want to say simple, but it used to be so sweet that goalkeepers had protection.
They still have protection, no?
I'm going to bring in IFAB rules on this. Now, I don't know if you guys can bring up the IFAB rules on your devices, about goalkeeping and obstruction. Just bring up IFAB, goalkeeper obstruction. And it looks like that's there's a push on what is defined in IFAB law book. about that. We are now seeing an era where, opposition will go and start tickling the keeper just to unsettle them before a
So-
corner kick is played.
So I have
People are
I have
poaching.
something on that.
No,
I have something on that.
No, I'm getting to a point. So we are
Okay.
now having a situation also where now this is not just only physical, because we are talking about the physicality of everything. The physicality, the physical chaos as we see it, that is created by, the opposition jostling around your keeper, the zone the keeper is supposed to be in, which there's now little or no more protection to. We are now seeing a situation where there is also the psychological effect. When you see three people around your keeper, what usually happens, what we've seen happen this season, is that the team that is defending the corner responds by putting more players in that 6-yard box.
But have you seen
And
how
once they
Chelsea have
crowd
countered
that
that in
6-yard
certain
box,
games?
No,
Have you seen how
I'll come to
Chelsea
that.
and Tottenham have countered that in certain games? Where they've now said, since
yes, I
you
have.
want us to psychologically push
I want
people, we will remove people out.
I want you guys to comment on that. I want you guys to comment on that and the legality of what we
Okay.
are seeing being done this season around
Okay.
corner.
So let me take that first. Okay. So I mentioned set pieces is from three things, right? You have set piece from corners, you have set piece from throw-ins, and set piece from free kick. Remember, I also mentioned that one is reducing and two, they increase, right? Do you know why that is? Because free kick is the only one that you can be offside from, right? The corners, the throwing, you cannot be from a direct corner, from direct throwing, you cannot be offside. Is one of the reasons why they have found a way to optimize that bit. One, two,
Weaponize that
I'll
bit.
use. I'll tell you, they have weaponized it. The fact that and that is why free kicks are reducing. It was even so bad.
Precision
I think
engineering.
a game. I'll tell you, a game 2 weeks ago. I think Anasi versus what's his name? Anasi versus Ataun. Ronaldo that we know. Ronaldo gets a free kick, right? And you know, Ronaldo is a he's glory hungry. And for the first time, I saw Ronaldo cross a free kick. Like, they scored for me too, and VR removed it due to offside infractions, right? You can see offside prevented that from happening, right? But it costs a bit of chaos. The United game, do you know the goal that Merino scored? Arsenal there were 15 players. They were like in that 6-yard zone, the one that Bonner talked about. There were 15 players in that box. You have Merino coming out after the match to say, okay, that Arteta has instructed them to, how would I put it? So they have gone to go and study what's done in football, American football. So there's something they call the scrimmage line. They have found ways in which they can get an advantage without causing infractions. So what you might be saying as little tickling and stuff like that, how many of them you want blow? Like it has happening. How many of them you want blow?
So this is why I want to bring you in as you are saying that.
Have been told,
This is
except
why I
it's
want
a major infraction, right?
Yeah. So,
Allah, it's just play out.
Yeah. So this is why I want to bring you in on that. Now, on the pitch generally, you know what the definition of obstruction is,
Yes.
right? Let's start from the basics. Every player has a right to their position. Every player will occupy a position on the pitch.
Agreed.
Whether outfield, in the in 18, there is always a position. Now, if there is impeding of the progress of another player, of an opponent, that is judged unfair. That word unfair is now what everybody is throwing around. That if it can be judged unfair, that's when it's a foul. But there is a caveat. If you are shielding the ball, like you are shielding an opponent from the ball, it is not a foul. But when the ball is not coming to you, the ball is not directly in your space, and you are shielding the movement of an opponent, is that not a foul? Now, I'm not saying in the box 18 now. I want you to think of it as outside the box 18, anywhere else.
Outside the box.
A player is running, a player is just running. A player is making an off-the-ball run, and you go and shield them. The ball has not come to you or them yet. Would that be a foul?
Outside the box, that would fly. Like, it's a foul, right? But I've said, outside the box, you will not have everything happening at once. A lot of people will not be doing the same thing at once, right? So inside that 6-yard box, there are a lot of things going on. People are taking goalkeepers. The other one are doing like this. Everybody is, you get, if it's not a serious impeding foul, for example, let's say you have a player is so you will not have a player, he's not going to put his arm and prevent the goalkeeper from. He's just trying to he's trying to go for the ball, right? While also maintaining his stance. So it's not like, he's not going to.
That player is actively using their body to shield the keeper when the ball is not yet with them.
I'm going for the ball.
In my opinion, In my opinion,
Okay.
I think that now this is just my opinion. I think it's foul, and that is why I'm thinking.
But according to IFAB rules, I don't think it's a foul.
According to
So
IFAB rules,
I don't think it's a
no,
foul.
Ojo just read IFAB rules, but the problem is that that
It's
IFAB rules
interpretation.
now, they did not tell you if it is within normal play or within dead ball situations.
It's just, I'm
There's
telling you.
no proper interpretation there. That is my problem with IFAB rules. It's almost like African regulations.
now this
But here's now the thing.
and this is
If
the
I'm
thing.
to
You know,
add,
in the past, one thing that has always happened is that if there is an obstruction in the box, that's even before the corner kick is played. Look at how refereeing was. If there is an obstruction in the box, let's not say of the keeper now, of another player. A player wants to make a run, you are trying to pull them, or the player from the team that is attacking the corner kick is pulling the player from the team that is defending. There have been times when the referee would stop the corner kick and blow a free kick instead.
we've had
Agreed.
that. We have
So
had
I
that
give up.
situation
if they can
in
apply,
matches this season.
you can apply the rule in such a situation for an obstruction, for pulling, for foul in the box. Why is this an exception for
So
keepers?
Ojo, what I will say is this, and I'm referenced Kevin Nolan. If you go and check some of Kevin Nolan's stats, he was doing this. The only problem there is that he was the only one doing the obstruction. I will not call it obstruction. I'll call it goalkeeper barrier, like it was the
Distraction.
goalkeeper barrier. So the
It's more of a
idea is,
distraction than obstruction.
he positions himself at the near post so that the goalkeeper, even if he's going to come out, cannot come out effectively. Keyword effectively. The goalkeeper will come out though, but it will come out effectively. What Arsenal have done this in their own strategy. And as I said, all thing is precision engineering. They've gone to study. It's like they've looked back in time and said, okay, how can we take this up a notch? Now what they do is that they delegate 3 players. Look, the way I see it, and this is also my own opinion, is when a dead ball situation is about to occur, it's almost like a drop ball. Like in a drop ball, if you are dropping a ball, it's almost like if you drop the ball, the opposition that's had the ball last is going to give the ball back, right? Now, in a dead ball situation, right, the ball is going to come into the net. That ball would have 2 actions going towards it. It is going to have an attack, and you actually also have a defense. So you are going to see 2 opposition going to either counter the ball or create an attack from that particular ball, the action or the motion of that ball. One team wants to get a goal, the other team wants to defend it out of a goal. The issue here is this. There are certain times within this season where we've seen very unfair, and I'm putting very because some of those things you may judge them as unfair, but the referee decisions or the referee will not see it as such. Where you see a Merino or a White or a Gabriel, no, Gabriel doesn't really do all those barriers. Gabriel is always the target man, or is one of the target men actually. You see the way they make their motions, where they stand at the far post and they run into and attack the ball. And the way I see it is this: they've methodically studied how they would reduce their obstruction or their barrier where it is not seen as unfair. That is the easiest point. They've methodically studied how they would create those barriers without it being seen as an obstruction. Because in certain positions, you will see the way Merino will attack there, and Izzy has coined the Manchester United and Arsenal one. So Arsenal fans may think that Lamans couldn't do much. But if you look at it, Lamans actually had time. Lamans actually had space. What they were just able to do, crowd it in such a very systematic way. And they've done this in over and over and over and over and over and over again. They just know how to make those motions where they get the ball without causing unfair obstruction. So that's just how I see it, especially in the context of Arsenal. But the thing now is this.
Yeah, I want you to add something as well, Easy. Given how we've seen Arsenal scoring those kind of goals with systematic engineering, that's the term. Precise
It's systematic engineering. The science around it now.
Why are they not conceding? People are using the same thing against them. Why are Arsenal so efficient that they are not conceding from the same types of moves, motions, plays in corner kicks?
It's hybrid defensive structure. Yeah, they have a hybrid defensive structure.
So the thing about it is, like I said, they got someone that can also improve it while also optimizing. Arsenal, if you notice, there's a reason why you will see Arsenal getting, like I said, the solution to this is physicality, right? Physicality is, I think I was I read something about Peter Schmeichel saying in the 6-yard box, right? You would have the goalkeeper is King. right? In that 6-yard box, the goalkeeper is clean. In that time, they used to be able to do some certain things. For example, you are going for a ball, you can use your leg, like, and jump. That will not be seen as a foul. But you are being very physical. Automatically removes that player that is shielding you. And you're able to, if you notice now, these days, a lot of goalkeepers don't clean, right? It's very difficult for them, especially when that's milli of players. What they do is they punch because the time needed for them to hold the ball might slip because somebody's trying to impede that bit, right? So while they are check the signings Arsenal are making. Arsenal are making very physical defense. Like the defenders are very physical. Their midfielders, the ones that will come and protect the ball. A lot of them,
Tall.
you notice,
Not from
tall,
Timber.
they have a height they are looking for, right? They also have physicality. Why the players that never have that before are going to the gym to get that physicality? For example, Kai Havertz. You notice that Kai Havertz now has bulked up to the point where, okay, you feel like, yeah.
But Kai Havertz bulking up was not just because of corner kicks
No.
or set pieces.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying they have the physicality to combat that bit. Wolves have very physical. Like I said, Wolves have not considered from a corner this season. That is down to one thing. Go and check their defenders too. They are also very physical. They don't even have a set piece coach.
So me, I don't even think it's just physicality, because when we say physicality, it actually rules out the tactical bits to it. One other thing we need to look at, if you look at the way Arsenal defend set pieces, because I know we're having a conversation one time as to the importance of Gabriel in Arsenal set piece strategy. People only see Gabriel as always the offensive target man he scores, but not just that. Even in defending set pieces, it's one of the generals in defending set pieces. As I said, in the previous systems to the way people defend set pieces, it was just zonal marking, where you leave the goalkeeper to mark the 6-yard box, and then every other person has their zones, but the goalkeeper is there. That 6-yard zone is the goalkeeper. And people now figured out, okay, you know what? We can prevent the goalkeeper here now. We just target it to the near post, put somebody there, you do a flick corner, someone scores, and the goalkeeper is left stranded. People like Arteta have found a way to create an hybrid structure where they just don't mark you in zones, they also mark you. So certain target men of other clubs, they found a way to put men on them. That is where easiest physicality comes in. The men they put to mark the target men of other clubs are very physical. You can check when Merino does it. You can check when Nkapie does it. You can even see sometimes when they're actually defending set pieces and Merino is on the pitch, Merino will come back and defend. Havertz actually, in most cases too, you see Havertz marking the far post, right? It's because they've just shielded away from just using a zone system. They now do a zonal marking and man marking hybrid to combat those things, plus the physicality. That has made them, for Wolves, have very physical defenders. Mosquera, I think Dorman is also there. I'm not mistaken. No. Dorman has left. Where is this? Who is this there that came from? Is it Kilman? No. Kilman left Wolves and went to West Ham. Sorry. But I know they have Mosquera. Can't even remember all there. I know there is this Abadu guy as well. They have some very physical,
very big physical
some
players.
very, very physical defenders. And that actually helps. That actually helps in being able to combat this as well, which is what Arsenal have done. It's something, while I agree to an extent with Izzy saying that, yes, getting Donnarumma has helped for Man City, you can actually also see that they actually also have physical defenders. There's a Diaz, there's a Gabadiol. Now they've gotten Gay.
Big, stocky.
I won't say Ake is at that physical mood like that anyway, but they have those as well that are there. See, as I said, in 04-05, Mourinho deployed Didier Drogba to be a defensive linchpin when they were set pieces coming. Haaland actually also plays a very vital role now.
Actually, true. Actually, very, very true.
Very, very vital.
Haaland comes back to defend. I think there was a time where if you play FPL, there's a time where if you play FPL, you notice that Haaland's defensive contributions sometimes they increase. For a striker, his defensive contribution is not supposed to be that high because Haaland comes back to help
defend set pieces.
To defend set pieces. So it's one of those. And if you notice, there's also been an increase in own goals, right? And I think this own goals increase in the league is down to because of this set pieces thing. Because Arsenal have scored Arsenal have 4 goals, and you know 4 goals, 4 goals in the Premier League. 4 goals, and a lot of them are resulting from set pieces. The one that happened last week with Madueke, that they finally not giving to Madueke.
They gave it to Madueke. Was from a set piece. So I think Saka even did the 1-2 and in swinger.
It's interesting to see how this is going to affect transfers generally going forward. Because from what you guys are saying, it looks like in the future we might be looking at clubs beginning to buy, a lot more physical players generally, just to be able to defend these kind of things. Well, on one hand, still in my opinion, I think it's making football be like rugby. If I wanted to watch rugby, I would have opted for watching rugby. But the game we knew is evolving.
But
It's not even as beautiful to me.
Barclays, nobody liked to go to the Britannia Stadium. They
Yes,
felt it
now
was
we
boring.
Yeah,
know
yeah.
we
It
knew Stoke.
happened.
Exactly. You can also see Stoke City.
Mm.
When Stoke City were doing that thing, they had big players.
Nobody liked it.
Shot cross.
Nobody loved it.
They
Shot
were
cross.
shot cross.
That's
They
true.
had big players.
But when you then think of how the transfer market has been, especially over the last few years, it looks like there's some scarcity. There's one challenge or the other. Either you are hearing of the distortion going on in Saudi, it has been well published about what is going on with Cristiano Ronaldo, the drama around Kante's move to Fenerbahce, Benzema, even up to the point where, a journalist was trying to question him repeatedly. I think that was yesterday. And he
Benzema.
really
And he
got
said you should ask
annoyed.
the hard players.
Exactly. And then there's when you leave all of that, which is, the financial and logistic aspect, you still then have the drama around the medical team of AC Milan. You see all of this and you really wonder how what is going on is also affecting the transfer market. We are hearing about a lot of rumors, transfer rumors, but the actual moves are not actually being completed. I know there have been a lot of rumors in the past, but it looks like the percentage of transfer rumors that translate into actual deals, completed deals, has reduced significantly. Now, Bon, in your opinion, how much of this do you think has been influenced by Saudi entering the transfer market? Do you think Saudi money has affected all of this? And I'd like you to comment on also all the drama going on in Saudi.
Okay, so from a light-hearted mood, Saudi has helped some clubs get rid of debt, so they'll be very, very beneficial to the ecosystem. They'll be very beneficial to the ecosystem.
I'm telling you, they'll be helping people clear
So
because how Liverpool want to take away Nunes now? How Liverpool want to take away Nunes? I'm telling you, once you don't notice small glitch, send a call.
They just send you there. So, but the transfer market and this part, I'm very sure it is going to jump up. It's going to want to chop my head. But you see, around the transfer bits, right? It's not just a Saudi money thing, to be fair. Saudi money entering it, because even if Saudi pumps in 1 billion, see how many clubs will effectively spend that 1 billion when you look at PSR and FFP playing there and creating some financial handicaps that doesn't allow clubs spend as much as they want to spend, because it's not just about buying. The new squad cost ratio that the UEFA currently does and the English Premier League is now adopting. If you buy finish, the balance of your squad, people must go. You can't just buy
So
finish.
is it as if clubs don't now know how to negotiate again?
So I don't think it's from a point of negotiation.
It's not even like clubs don't know how to.
I just like
it's not even from a negotiation standpoint. So it's not even from a negotiation standpoint per se. Do you get? It's also like, as I already noted, there's a financial implication to it. Even if you have the best agents leading negotiations, now we have super agents that clubs now call to lead negotiations. We've seen Diego Mendes has been involved in a lot of club-to-club negotiations, even though he has agents. He's an agent to certain players. It's just that the financial landscape today, they would not permit clubs to spend as much as they want to spend. Do you get? So that's one of the major reasons, to be fair.
Well, that's interesting. And that's where I bring, Izzy in. From a player's point of view, I mean, last week we were talking about, in the last episode, we were talking about how, players are assets, things like that. Now, from a player's point of view, is moving, given all these challenges we've talked about, all these, steps, blocks that you have to, hoops and hurdles you have to jump through. Given all of them, is moving riskier than staying for a player in the context of career development? And are players and player agents scared of being stuck after moves?
So, from a player's point of view, I would say it's dicey now. Before you had a smaller squad, right? There were less financial restrictions, smaller squad. So a player is brought in and is given time, right? You'll have a player come in and he needs to gel with the team. and stuff like that. And because it's bought at, let's say, for example, bought at 10 million. Oh, you need to gel the team. So the first 2-3 months, he's trying to gel. He's giving you multiple opportunities to show himself. Oh, it might not work out at first. They might have to find the balance and do that. But now, I can't buy you 60 million, right? And I have a plethora of other players, and you will come in and not show me exactly why I just spent that huge amount of money. So there's no longer patience, right? And I think this has affected the players, right? Because a lot of these players come from, for example, we can use the vet category now. Vet is coming from a league different from what we currently have in English Premier League.
The English
And
Premier
he will
League.
need time to adjust. But a lot of people, after 3 matches, were calling him flop, flop, flop. Why?
There's
Because
no time. Oh. On top 150 million.
on top of do you get they spent that amount of money on him, and that comes with some additional pressure. Because if you could notice that even from the players' perspective, if you watch Vets, it's like he was overthinking some things that would normally come naturally to him. He felt like, oh, he was overthinking it because, oh, you do this, do that, that. It's because, oh, this pressure is played. And that's why you have a lot of players these days not wanting to. It's not like, oh, they would like to move on to the next big thing and stuff like that. They know that, oh, the transfer market is not being fair to them now because there's inflation, right? In the normal transfer market, let's say we're going to the 2000s and you will buying a player of vets for 150 million, probably buy him for maybe 30-40 million. And there's time. From there, you can say, okay, let's watch him play. He's coming from a new league. No, you're buying for 150 million. Nobody wants to hear you're coming from a new league. They expect you're buying a superstar. So they expect a superstar performance from the beginning.
You must hit the ground running.
Now,
You must hit the
Okay.
ground running.
and it's interesting that you've mentioned that because, you're saying now nobody wants to buy a player upwards of 60 million and you are asking for time. They want you to hit the ground running, like Bond said. And I'm going to now slowly go into what we've read, over the last couple of weeks about AC Milan, right? Where, agents have started saying, because of the history they've had with AC Milan else, some agents are saying they don't want to do business with AC Milan again because they tend to not overlook at medicals what other clubs overlook. I don't know if that's smart on the side of a club or not, but this is my question. If you look at things, Bon, why do you think Milan are acting this way? They are, sort of acting like an investment fund in how they approach recruitment of players. They are thinking about risk management. They are thinking before they even sign the players. And is this pattern a sustainable pattern for them, or are they going to self-sabotage? Because if you are doing these things, you are overthinking situations, you're already doing risk management before. Is there not the chance that you might actually miss out on a superstar that could have saved your season?
Okay, so the thing now is that the ones that they've decided not to go with, we saw the results. I never saw in any reports that Mateta was managing a knee issue. It did not come out, at least not to my notice. But the moment he failed his Milan medical and he went back to Crystal Palace, the next information we hear from Oliver Glasner is that Mateta has been managing a knee issue since last year, November. Wow, interesting. So I think, okay, and let's look at the history. Currently, Milan is owned by Redbird Capital. They are treating Milan as a asset management. They are managing an asset, which Milan actually is. So those players are assets with proportionate value. So you must be worth the value that they are going to pay for you because they can't afford to buy that amount of money for you and then start looking to ship you away. Milan is also in conjunction with Inter Milan trying to build a new stadium. Money needs to be of value for them. But let's just take it back to Milan Lab. Milan Lab, which of course is the lab that runs Milan's medical. They have a very, very beautiful history. As to when they were founded in 2002 by, I've forgotten his name. Is he Merisman or I can't pronounce it. But that famous doctor that later moved to Chelsea. And when they moved to Chelsea, they won the Champions League the next season. During the time when they did all that, they have one of the best standard practices in sports medicine, in performance medicine. They are accredited as one of the reasons why Maldini was able to play till 41. Seedorf actually stopped having recurring issues when they found out about his wisdom tooth, whatever, and they removed it. So they've had success with the way they've run their practice. But now they've evolved. They've now evolved to look, we're now doing asset protection, pure asset protection. We need to buy players that will play. Mind you, Pulisic was injury prone at a bit when he was at Chelsea, but they bought him. I think what they do is that they look at long-term value. to certain issues that a player may actually have. You may be a player and have a niggling issue, but they find out that this issue may keep you out long term, during the course of which we will not get value from you. They will choose not to proceed with that deal. Victor Boniface is another one. He did failed his medical. Then a week after, he went to Werder Bremen. And the whole report was, AC Milan were just doing nonsense, all those things. He did take up to 1-2 months. He is out now, injured. So I feel what they did is that they use their diagnostics tool to predict if this player is in top physical condition that can maintain his stay for a period of time. And if you don't meet that criteria, they will choose not to proceed. Is it sustainable? I feel it's just proper asset protection. Because it's better for me to have a player that would be available for a period of time and give value to my competition season than for you not to be there.
Okay, just to add to that, you know that this is, let's say for example, you are the owner. Let's take it that you are the owner. You don't go one buy and you notice that, oh, it's not like this asset you are about to buy is so you know there are injuries a player gets, and you just know that, oh, this, it becomes too reoccurring. You might not be able to get the best out of this player. Boniface is one. Boniface has had, if I'm not mistaken, has had 3 ACL surgeries, right? Check his knee. His knee is properly, you know that he has been to the doctor a lot of times.
Yeah,
Right?
there are scars on it.
There are a lot of scars on that knee. So if you're an asset, for example, if you are the owner and you're saying, oh, okay, yes, because I know they didn't give Boniface an answer first. They tried to evaluate it. Okay, so we will get Boniface now. Is it that, oh, he will play for 1 month, I will not have him again for 6 months? You're going to pay him salary, right? You're going to pay all these things. The entire football right now does not have the financial whip as England and who have due to for sponsorship and a
No,
lot
they
of
have
other
the
things. They don't have this
luxury.
money. So they are trying to make best use of the money that they have. So they can't afford to get players that have long-term injuries that will take them out for a while and will now shoulder
So
the financial bit of it. So
is that not affecting the club reputation? Easy.
So I don't think it's affecting club reputation. If not, it's, for me, I feel it's what every club is supposed to do, because you have players come in. Is there a particular player right now that is injury prone like that? So yes, you can get the best out of them, because a lot of times I feel this Milan medical team, like Bon rightly said, if they know there's a solution in sight for you, they will get you, right? They did that
Because
with
Loftus-Cheek has
it's,
been free of injury
yes,
now.
Loftus-Cheek
Pulisic
has
has been free
been
of injury as
Loftus-Cheek
well.
has, so these were players that were known to be injury prone, and they got them, right? They passed this medical. So if there is a solution, so their medicals is not to only just find out your state at current. It's also saying, okay, so you have this issue right now. Is this resolvable long term? Yes, if it's yes, they get you.
Yes, I don't know about the thing about me, and that is that I think those guys have a soft spot for Chelsea. That's what I think. There hasn't been any player that Chelsea has given to AC Milan
Is he has a
that
soft spot for
they found
Chelsea?
any problem with. And that's the thing, because I was going to come to you, Bon, next
Well,
about how with all of this going on, the way businesses are set out. We have been talking about assets, we've been talking about risk assessment, but there's no way that you can do business without taking risks. In fact, just normal life, going out of your house, waking up, getting out of bed is a risk. So, but with the way AC Milan is behaving now, which is a culture that can easily be adopted by so many teams, are we seeing a club that is turning into an insurance company? What are your thoughts, Bon?
okay, so yes, as I said, picking up in life is a risk. Everything has its risk to it. Drinking too much water has a risk, even though we need to drink more water anyway. But everything has a risk element to it. The thing here I will notice this, right? You also have to actually know how to mitigate your risk and create your risk appetite. I think what Milan have done is that they've given themselves a risk appetite threshold to say, look, and you, Nkoko, actually, you say was actually injury prone. They signed him. Maybe they've looked at it and said, we can manage this guy. We can actually manage this one. Face and maybe Mateta. And another thing you actually have to take note again is the physiological and age profile. Mateta is probably going to be, is it not 30 this year? It'll be 30 this year. Maybe they felt they could not manage this kind of stuff, long term. Especially because this year is a World Cup year. They need someone to be in top shape. You get, so maybe they felt, no, we can't proceed with this deal based on this. They were about to pay very good money for Mateta. over 30 million euros, if I'm not mistaken. So
And for Milan to pay
when
that
Wesley
amount for you,
Fofana,
you know, say you sabi.
do you understand? The same is Syria that I've been telling Ojo that you people are very, very frugal with money. If Milan was the one running Chelsea's medicals when we were signing Wesley Fofana from Leicester City, we probably do not sell Wesley Fofana. Because before we send Wesley Fofana, we had to send Wesley Fofana to the US for thorough medical evaluation to be sure that this stuff is not going to be a long-term occurrence. Now, mind you, he has not had a recurrent injury on his ankles. I think his problems basically the past 2 seasons have been more muscular injuries per se, right? So that particular kind of injury has not reoccurred. So it's why you need to do this in-depth evaluation so that you are sure that you are going to get the best value from this player that you are about to sign. And as he said, it's something that every club is going to do. Yes, they may have a level of appetite they are going to have with that particular risk, but it's imperative that you actually do it. You get it's actually kind of impressive that you actually do those kind of stuff. It doesn't make you look like a bad person, or it doesn't make you feel like your model is not going to be sustainable. You will still get the players you are going to get. There will be young bloods coming up. Football is an infinite pool of talent. Yes, so yeah.
That's the thing. And you know that we have been talking for the past weeks now. We have been saying football is now going into a business model, right? The investors now are business people. So you want to be expected as a businessman. You don't go buy something where you know say might not get 50% value out of that because
Yeah, I guess my thoughts about that, and it was what I was going to say next, that the football we fell in love with, I know you're saying it's evolving, but the football we fell in love with is the football where there was a lot of unpredictability, there was a lot of drama, things were just left to their own natural course. But it looks like we are moving into an environment where owners, investors want a lot more control. We've discussed in previous weeks about control versus chaos, in tournaments and all those things. We are now moving into an era where that control over chaos is seeping into football generally, club football, Premier League, everywhere, AC Milan in this case. But I guess my question is, if we are talking about this, we've talked about control tactically, where you want to control the box, you want to control how many goals, 33% from set pieces, you are trying to improve your chances from causing chaos with corner kicks. That's tactical control. There's a lot that is on tactical control now. We've talked about financial control. My question to both of you is, with the way football is going now, does it not come to mind that certain players that thrived in the past might, if you put them in today's football, certain goalkeepers even, you might not even hear their name. There was a time Marco Marin, you remember Marco Marin that came to Chelsea? They used to call him the Atom. Look at his size. Do you think that kind of player can thrive in today's football? Valbuena, this is no disrespect, but Valbuena is almost as tall as the corner kick flag. Do you think players like that, without that height advantage, are going to, if you throw them in today's football, what happens to them? Are we now ditching talent over, athleticism and, physical attributes? That's my question to both of you.
So the game has always been a game of physical attributes, right? The Valbuenas and co that you have mentioned, they all had one thing going for them. Valbuena had center of gravity supporting that his height. You would have some. He also had a bit of speed, right? So yes, they will still be valuable in today's game. The only thing is you cannot have for certain positions. You won't have them in that position. Like going back to the initial topic where we're talking about that bit. If you notice these days, you will notice that. So I saw a stat that says strikers, right? Defenders have more touches in the penalty box than strikers. This has been an evolution that has been going on a bit because these defenders are now prominently having to, how would I put it, take set pieces and stuff like that. So they are more involved in that bit. So because of that, it's a combined bit. The game is evolving, so the players will also evolve with it. So I used to think those players, those talented players, would have still be very useful in this day and age.
Okay, Bon, what are your thoughts? Given both topics we've discussed today, what do you think links them both? And what does the implications of the theme of today's discussions regarding the future of...
Okay, so the thing is, we are looking at a unique time in football. It's a very, very unique time. We are seeing the evolution of tactical play, where people are now looking at how to control their own fate, how to be able to control the outcomes I'm going to see. And that same control is what we're actually also seeing playing out in the transfer markets. People now are looking, look, there's a specific kind of player that we're going to go and get, specific kind of profile. We spoke about how we are moving from a managerial standpoint to a head coach. Brentford actually were one of the first people to actually say being the head coach. To Benham, I think when he got Thomas Frank, right? He got Thomas Frank as a head coach and he had created a department that was going to do that. And the reason is because the clubs want to have more control. They want to be able to say, okay, these are our fate, and we can precisely carve out how we will get our performance on the pitch. Not just commercial performance, but on the pitch performance as well. So that's mindset actually also takes them into the transfer market. You were talking about size and stuff. We were discussing yesterday in one of our groups as to why Martinez was not bought by Arsenal, even though one of the big major reasons was United hijacked that deal. But there were issues around the size to play as a centre back. He did play centre back for United and he has excelled very well at it. But he actually also has the added benefit of having the skill set to play as a DM or as a left back. Sometimes players that may not look a certain profile can be morphed into certain way. I will use Valentin Bako currently at Strasbourg as a very prime example. Valentin Bako from Boca Juniors when he went to Brighton was bought as a left back. He didn't do very well in Brighton. He was loaned to Sevilla before he was finally loaned to Strasbourg. But the beautiful thing is that Valentin Bako is morphing into a top-class center midfielder. One of the best in the guard this season. One of the best. Very press resistant. Knows how to pin the ball. So sometimes one of the things that now rests for coaches is even though your club goes into the transfer market and gets a starting profile, as Rosenio will see, as Ateta will see, one of our jobs as coaches is to mold our players to the vision we think they're going to be best in, right? Because the particular player probably played as a midfielder in Sparta Donetsk or Shakhtar Donetsk doesn't mean he probably will come to an Arsenal team and play as a midfielder because of the physicality demands of the English Premier League. The central theme to everything that we have spoke about is how control is becoming a very important commodity in today's game. People now want to properly control how they are going to their fate. Yes, we fell in love with the game because it was quite unpredictable. The unpredictability is still there, but you are not saying, you know what, money is also involved. So we need to reduce the amount of unpredictability we have and predict how certain outcomes to suit our needs, basically.
And I'm happy you said that. Well, I don't know how happy the neutral will be when they hear things like that, or when they even see things like that. We've talked about VAR, we've talked about business models, we've talked about the present state of football. But when you zoom out of this episode, you will find out that it is not really about corners or transfers, like Bon has mentioned just a while ago. It's about control, really. Football is evolving. Set pieces are being rehearsed to the second, to the final inch. Transfers are being scrutinized to the littlest muscle fiber. And goalkeepers are no longer just reacting. They are managing risks in real time for them to continue to survive. We are now talking about the fact that they have to be really big, possibly in the future, for them to continue to thrive. And the game hasn't become less emotional despite all of this. It has just become a little bit more calculated. And every calculation comes with a cost. It might not be immediately obvious what the cost of that is now. But the big question isn't whether this is good for football. It's whether the pursuit of control is killing the very fiber, the very risk that made the game great in the first place. And, well, it's still match query. We would always continue to ask the questions that matter, the questions that will erode the very being of football philosophies that have been long held, or the new ones that are coming to the fore. Well, let us know what you think. Are set pieces exposing bad defending or ruining creativity? Let us know what your thoughts are about the control in football nowadays. Like us, follow us, comment, on all our pages, and we'll be there to respond. Till next episode, stay safe. This is the Match Query.